Bachelors are the new millionaires. They may act poor, but money, they got more. Voices blending, melodies ascending, harmony in the air. Our songs are never ending. In the barbershop we create magic. Brad and John show, yeah, it's pure classic. No instruments needed, just our vocal range. Notes flying high, it's our musical exchange. Tracy's station may try, but they can't compete. Our barbershop style, it can't be beat. Oh, the harmony of voices, so sweet. In the barbershop of life, our tunes will repeat. No need for instruments, no need for a band. Just the Brad and John show, the finest in the land.
It's the Barbershop Boys, John Combest. What does that mean, John Combest?
It means that it's Friday.
And what do we do on Friday?
The Polka Boys.
We bring them in. Yes, the Polka Boys. Here they are, guys.
Time for the John Combest Top 3.
Every single day of his life, he puts together this incredible list of all the important stuff you should know about what's going on in the state of Missouri. Sometimes it's I.O., information overload. As a matter of fact, most of the time for ADD guys like me, it's I.O. But we bring in John and what he does with this fine gentleman right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
He counts down his top 3 of the dozens and dozens and dozens of stories on johncombest.com. And we start off with...
In third place...
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. Gods are gonna trouble the water. Oh, wee, Brad, I'm feeling my slave ancestry today. You know I am 1% Senegalese. Oh, wee, according to my DNA test. Okay. And I'm feeling a little bit of slave rage today because my scholarships are being threatened. Oh, wee. This story is brought to us by Fox 2 News in St. Louis. A new federal civil rights complaint was filed against UMSL for discrimination, one group says. For folks who are just learning about the St. Louis area, UMSL, of course, stands for Unfortunate Men Settling for Less. You know what I'm saying, Brad? You're an expert on UMSL. The Equal Protection Project, EPP, a nonprofit, you like that, Brad, under the Legal Insurrection Foundation that is dedicated to blah, 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 fair treatment of all persons, announced a new complaint Thursday afternoon alleging Title VI and Title IX violations within several scholarships offered by the school. They are requesting a formal investigation to be conducted by the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights. And they say, the group that filed the complaint says, our goal is not to end these scholarships, but to end the discrimination. I'll remind you that Title VI and Title IX are laws that prohibit the discrimination of individuals based on race, sex, color, or national origin. And it turns out that UMSL might just be discriminating against white males. And the complaint lists the scholarships that discriminate against whites and against males. There's one called the Swain O'Leary Family Accounting Scholarship. Okay. Preferences given to underrepresented minority groups. There's one called the Harriett Woods Leadership Scholarship. Do you remember the name Harriett Woods, Brad?
Yes, and she could read very fast.
She could, and why could she read very fast, Brad?
Because she had the Harriett Woods reading dynamics class.
I do not remember that. Is that a real thing?
No, I was kidding. It was Ellen Woods. Remember, that's the...
Oh, Ellen Woods. Sorry, that joke is before my time. I apologize for not catching on. Now, Harriett Woods probably could write her own course on how to lose U.S. Senate races. She lost 2 races. She lost to Jack Danforth back when he was a Republican. Remember those days, Brad?
I do.
And she also lost to Kit Bond in a Senate race. So she lost 2 Senate races. She has a scholarship where they give preference to female students. So maybe you learn how to lose 2 Senate races. In fact, I think that's what Lucas Kunce, that's the scholarship he got when he decided to be a Missourian again and run for U.S. Senate. They weren't sure if he was a woman, but they saw the tightness of his shirts, and they gave him the Harriett Woods Leadership Scholarship. But I digress. There's also one, a generic University of Missouri, St. Louis Women's Scholarship Fund. Of course, that goes to just women. Women in Chemistry Scholarship. So that's given to female students 25 years of age or older. That's kind of a nice angle. And of course, women in chemistry today in the suburbs means they just load themselves up with SSRIs and alcohol. And then there's a couple more. We won't go into all of them. One of them is the Women of AT&T Foundation Endowed Scholarship. You may recall this, Brad, but down at the AT&T building downtown, AT&T reserved the right to keep hold of a couple different floors. So if you win the scholarship, you get to move into the AT&T building downtown.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah. They film a reality show there. And then they track you going down to Wash Ave and getting robbed. They show you trying to go to a Cardinal game without somebody saying, hey, let me get some of that change. You got some change? I got a Venmo. Can you Venmo me? Anyway, Brad, the idea is that this group is filing a complaint. Fox 2 went out and they found an attorney that's not tied to this type of lawsuit. And the attorney says, look, this isn't, I just messed up, Brad. It's not a lawsuit. It's a complaint. And what the attorney is saying is, look, this is not a lawsuit. There's nothing formal about UMSL being sued. But the process will be that the Department of Education will start looking into UMSL and ask UMSL, hey, are you complying with policies that say no discrimination based on race or sex or whatever? Of course, UMSL had a standby statement. UMSL says the university is fully committed to following federal laws and the scholarship practices. We will review the complaint and the scholarships it addresses. If we determine that any of the scholarships identified in the complaint are still being offered and are not compliant, we will take steps to bring them into compliance. So this is nice, Brad. I think what it is, you mentioned last week a story that I had mentioned in the previous days, which was the Missouri State High School Activities Association being under scrutiny from AG Catherine Hanaway for its anti-white and anti-male policies. Now you have an outside group coming in and saying, hey, UMSL's also discriminating against whites and against men. I bet you someone in Catherine Hanaway's office sees this and is saying, maybe we should take a little look at UMSL too, and maybe give them a little love tap and let them know that stuff's not going to fly in the state of Missouri.
John, that's not exactly the reason. What happened was the program director of 97.1 called up Catherine and said, Catherine, you haven't been on the air in a couple of days. Can you come up with a new controversy where we can interview you on the Mark Cox show, the Annie Fry show, and the Mark Reardon show? That was the real reason she did this.
And she cut a deal with St. Louis Public Radio because, they're under the influence of UMSL. So she wanted to have kind of a cross collaboration there. But in the end, if it doesn't work, she's just going to go to KDHX, I think. You
know what I'm going to do? I'm going to contact Catherine Hanaway to have her expose the pending deal between University of Missouri curators and KWMU and the station in what is it? What's the station in Kansas City?
KCUR.
KCUR and KBIA, because I think there's shenanigans and funny business going on with that. I've said that once or twice before. I think Catherine Hanaway should dig into that. What, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And she actually already has. She announced she went over to the WBIV studios, and there was a guest appearance by G. Gordon Liddy. And she's having G. Gordon Liddy and the plumbers actually break into the office late at night. They're going to tape the door with a little electrical tape. A janitor's going to come find it, and then all heck will break loose.
That was WIBV, by the way. And can I tell you my Gordon Liddy story real quick? It'll take 30 seconds.
No, because you can save it for a different block because it's 7:13 and we haven't gotten to story number 2. Thanks, Brad.
Okay. Well, I got you in early this morning. It's not my fault at this point in time.
Up a notch to number 2.
Number 2 story from a Post-Dispatch intern who was assigned to this story. Kind of a nice gig for an intern to get to talk to the governor. The state requires, Brad, non-commercial vehicles more than 10 years old and those with more than 150,000 miles to pass safety inspections every 2 years. Brad Hildebrand thinks it's a bad idea to reduce safety inspections in the state of Missouri. Well, there's another guy, kind of old, not quite as old as Brad, who was also born in St. Louis City, who thinks it's a bad idea as well. I'll cut right to it. Last week, the Missouri House approved a plan to end that safety inspection mandate, which affects about 1.8 million of the state's more than 6 million passenger vehicles. Here's what Kehoe says. I'm a fan of some sort of vehicle safety inspection, whether that needs to have the time period moved or something tweaked or changed to it a little bit. That's understandable. But keeping cars on our road that are safe for the other drivers that are next to you, I think is really important. End of quote. The sponsor of the safety inspection bill, Rep. Ann Kelly from Lamar, declined to comment on Kehoe's concerns, saying she wants to allow the measure to move through the legislative process. Senate leadership has not scheduled the proposal for committee debate. Now, this intern at the Post-Dispatch goes on to point out that Kehoe owned a Ford dealership in Jeff City prior to his political career. And I love this. People fear auto shops. This is from the reporter. People fear auto shops use safety inspections as an excuse to sell customers on unnecessary repairs, Kehoe said. And here's his direct quote. But I can tell you that of all the service departments I'm aware of, they're great companies that want to make sure the vehicles are safe. And to give proper credit to this intern, her name is Natanya Freedom of the Post-Dispatch. It's spelled Friedheim. I believe it's pronounced Freedom. So it would appear that with the Republican enthusiasm to eliminate safety inspections for some vehicles, it would appear that at least 2 old guys that were born in St. Louis think that might not be a great idea.
On with number 1.
The number 1.
Yesterday, we talked about a story that had garnered national news, global news even, in a period of a few hours. Well, we certainly have global attention from the Daily Mail in the UK, from the New York Post, and all sorts of papers in between. Yes, the wrong way driver on US 61. But we're not going to go to the Globe in the UK. We're not going to go to the Daily Mail. No, let's go to Fox 2 News. A Somali truck driver failed an English proficiency test after getting pulled over for driving the wrong way on Highway 61 in Lincoln County. The Missouri State Highway Patrol said he could not identify road signs required to hold commercial driver's license. You will recall yesterday in A Block, which was February 26, 2026, if you look in our archives, I said we should probably hold our horses here because we don't know anything about the man except for the fact that he appeared to be in the United States legally. He had a driver's license, but we didn't know if he was Somali. And in fact, I said we wouldn't know if he was Somali until we took good measurements of his forehead. And someone must have gotten out the tape measure and confirmed that, yes, the giant forehead indicates that he is originally from Somalia. So a viral video circulating online shows a Somali truck driver traveling south in the northbound lanes of 61 before eventually using a crossover to continue traveling in the correct direction. What troopers discovered next led them to take the driver's license. Quote, the driver was unable to complete the English proficiency test. Now, in the last 36 hours, we have seen Missouri's United States Senator Eric Schmidt weigh in. We've seen other senators in the United States weigh in. Transportation Secretary weighed in. Governor Kehoe added a little commentary yesterday on his social feed. Big shout out to the governor's communication staff. I'm sure the governor was briefed on it and is aware that this actually happened. So I said yesterday that we shouldn't jump to conclusions about whether or not the man is illegal. And that became an issue because the gentleman who had posted Mon Labs Lab BTC had originally posted the video. I had it up yesterday, and you can find it online. He suggested, or in fact, he outright stated that the driver was an illegal alien. It turns out he was not. Now, another factoid to give credit, before we discuss this, Brad, to give credit to Fox 2, they say that there was actually another driver that was in the truck. He was in the sleeper of the truck when it was pulled over. And that driver, the second driver, took over the truck once the suspect driver had his license revoked. So hopefully the second guy could actually read street signs, maybe speak English, maybe knew what he was doing, and they'd be back on their way to wherever their cargo was going. And let's not forget that this truck was registered in the state of Minnesota. I think it's part of a Leering Center up there.
You know, John, this whole crazy thing, I mean, you ever heard this phrase, where there's smoke, there's fire? You ever heard that before?
No, I've never heard that. What does it mean?
I mean, all this crazy stuff that comes out of Minneapolis. I mean, years ago, I used to do business in Minneapolis, and I have a couple people up there that I got to be friends with, that I did business with, also became friendly types and things like that. And I always thought Minneapolis was, a interesting city. Now, this is a long time ago. This is probably, 30 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, so it was still super white, is what you're saying, right?
I guess. I mean, and that's an interesting question. The Somalis, has that been essentially the immigration of the Somalis into Minneapolis? Has that been like in the last 15, 20 years, or has that been longer than that?
I'm guessing so. I mean, I haven't been to Minneapolis in almost 20 years. It was lily white when I went there, and that was 20 years ago. I mean, I was only there for a period of a few days. But yeah, I'm guessing that the Somali thing, I don't know. I don't think any city that hosts Ilhan Omar can be that bad. I mean, I can picture it probably smells really nice. Like everybody's probably well behaved. It's not Portland. People aren't dressing up in inflatable frog costumes.
Do you know, I talked to somebody about that yesterday. They didn't believe me. And I went to the website, and I think the website had been crashed for a while because it didn't work. And if you know what we're talking about, it's the PortlandFrogBrigade.com. And this is, who was the representative again? Do you remember her name from Portland? She was the U.S. rep.
Oh, absolutely not. No, she's a member of Congress, though, right?
Yes. And she was hosting one of many alternative State of the Union address events, and she got up on stage. I got to pull that audio. It's funnier than hell because she's talking about, I'm so proud because I'm with the Portland Frog Brigade, and people in the crowd are going, ribbit, 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 stuff like that. I'm going like...
The site didn't load. I just went there, but it says it's being managed by Brad Hildebrand. And it gives me a thing that says Nexus. This site has been disabled.
Oh, John.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go cut and paste my weekly email that I send to Brad that says, you've probably already seen this, but the site is down. And I'm going to send it to the Portland folks.
John, you're so complimentary of me.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you. Thank you for executing well.
John, can I, let me just, I'm not trying to be a jerk to you, John, but let's trade jobs for a week, and we'll see how well you do in this end, okay?
Yeah, Brad. Be honest about this. How many decades has it been since you have shuttled kids to and from activities throughout the course of a day?
John, I miss that. I mean, one of the things I will yearn for is sitting in the pickup line at one of the Francis House schools and just getting super high, smoking my big old blunt, just like, oh, man, is that my kid? I can't tell. Maybe it is. Maybe
I know,
maybe
Brad.
I'll pick up a few more kids.
I do have an anecdote about that. Yes, Brad, your life is so hard. It's hard to go to chamber meetings, hang around for 2 hours, and sell no radio advertising. That's got to be a tough life. I got out of a car yesterday in a Francis House School District parking lot, and on the curb was a bright green neon vape.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I had a moral dilemma, which was, do I pick it up and throw it away? Or do I say, someone in St. Charles County had that in their mouth. And I chose the latter, and I left it there. So I would imagine today, when I go back to that school in the afternoon, I would imagine that a member of the school administration staff will have picked it up, or someone in the custodial service will have picked it up. But can you imagine thinking, you know what? I just dropped my vape, but I'm just going to leave it there. Now, if you've seen a lot of people in St. Charles County, I would think it's fair to say that most of them couldn't pick up something on the ground, wouldn't you say?
John, my situation would be if I saw it on the ground and I was thinking to pick it up, I thought to myself, okay, if this has got a St. Charles County resident's DNA on it, no problem, I'll pick it up and throw it away. But if it's got a St. Louis County resident's DNA on it, I'm not touching it, man. As a matter of fact, get me that 10-foot pole, because that's what I'm going to touch it with.
Yeah, actually, you would say just put me on top of a bridge so that I look like I'm going to commit Harry Carey. And then I'll just tell the cops I was taking B-roll and not think about my life's problems.
I got another email from the Chesterfield Police Department yesterday. Man, I'm getting to be a popular guy.
Is the admin over there as old as you, be honest? Because why does she have patience with you? Like, would you say she stopped menstruating 30, 40 years ago?
With the name of Kallyn, Kallyn, I would say she's like a 20-something, but I may be wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. So she's functional then. Okay. So she's just like, she probably sees you as her grandpa, and she's like, okay, I'll wipe the drool from his chin and I'll respond to his emails.
Well, she did refer to me as one of the emails. She says, "Dear great grandpa Brad." That's what she said in the one email. So anyway, okay, we have to take a break.